Hi there, Glocal citizens. Welcome back to the podcast that inspires a borderless mindset around manifesting a new world. I am your host, Florence Adu, coming to you from a beautiful, balmy Brooklyn afternoon. And I will say that I'm on a little bit of a mile high because I just came back from the Mile High City, just visiting family, taking in the Colorado freshness. And, I'm going to riff a little on something that I noticed. I don't know if everyone really takes the water that we drink seriously, but my family there, we drink reverse osmosis water, and I used to drink it here. One of my mentors used to have it, so I would lug a big jug every week and go fill my bottle. And I didn't realize it until spending the last 10 days drinking that water that it really matters. So if you're over here not really paying attention to your water, think about your longevity and maybe look into one of those reverse osmosis filters. So that's your wellness tip for today. I think that dovetails well with my next guest because her indigenous self also has a closeness to the land and would definitely vibe with the idea of the nature of what we intake. And so with a passion for entertaining and a savvy marketing instinct, no one knows how to produce behind the scenes while hosting in front of an audience better than today's guest. She has been discovering, branding, and promoting arts, music, and culture for over a decade. With an impressive career as an award-winning event marketer in the arts, entertainment, and consumer product industries, her behind-the-scenes achievements include developing, packaging, and promoting products for Disney Consumer Electronics, leading sponsorship integrations for Curl Fest, which just happened, and One Music Fest, producing the 2015 Essence Festival, and being responsible for the branding of Red Bull as a staple in the Atlanta cultural scene. And I tell you, Red Bull is a staple. So in that Atlanta life, for 5 years, she produced and hosted her own radio show for Atlanta's and Northern Georgia's WBCX 89.1 FM. She also produced and served as an on-air personality for various television and online shows, including Capital Jazz TV, Beehive FM, What's Happening TV, the Soul Tracks Reader's Choice Awards, and more. She is currently the host of the world-renowned Apollo Theater's Music Cafe in Harlem that spotlights emerging music artists. She also guest hosts Brick TV's B-Side in Brooklyn and various events throughout the country showcasing music, empowering women, and bringing awareness to her beloved home country. Jodine Dorcé. Hello. Welcome to the podcast.
I was like, let me figure out how many things I need to update on this bio.
Oh. Well, you can update us in our conversation.
Right.
But they're all stellar, right?
Oh,
so there's
you.
more. We're going to find out more about what you're into now, what you've been getting into for the past many years. Let's get started. Where are you from? Where are you local? And what is your craft?
I'm originally from Miami, Florida, by way of Haiti. My parents are immigrants to this country from Haiti. And I moved from Miami, went to school in Tampa, Florida, moved over to Atlanta, spent some time in Atlanta. I like to say that Atlanta is where I became a grown woman, and then set my way here to Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy all day.
Okay.
Bed-Stuy, do or die. And I've been here for some years now, and I'm absolutely in love with this community.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more. Haiti's been in the news quite a bit this year. And so tell us a little bit more about your Haiti.
Well, it's so interesting because I started going back to Haiti after college when my father started building his house in Port-au-Prince. And Port-au-Prince, not too far from the airport, there's a locale, there's an area, like you can call it a borough, if you will, called Taba. And so my father built this compound in Taba. And I remember when he was first building it, and I traveled down there with him, and it had its issues. Like Haiti has always had its issues. I mean, it's the first free Black land, right, in the Western Hemisphere. So that comes with that comes with a lot of sacrifice.
Mm.
Not being able to play in the global market because kicked your colonizers out. So we get that, right? We understand that. So Haiti's always been has always just been trying to survive. It's trying to survive, and it's a beautiful country. Hate where it is right now in a sense of the instability. There's still some beautiful pockets there. You can still go there and enjoy the country and enjoy the mountainside and enjoy the beaches, but there's risk. There's risk there. It's not the safest. Some areas are not the safest place. I don't want to speak for the whole island, but some areas are not the safest place. But it's very corrupt and very unstable right now.
Yeah.
And it's because we have a lot of foreigners in there creating chaos, and it's, I can't even say it's bigger than me, right? I can't even say that because I am part of that story. My existence is part of the corruption that's in Haiti right now. And so it's always like, for me, it's what else can I do? Although you feel like it's too big for you to do something yourself. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only Haitian or Haitian American that feels like this is such a huge, huge order, a huge task to try to kind of help Haiti get around the corner, but it's so big.
Yeah.
It's so big.
Yeah. I mean, that history, if every diasporan, right, African, a person of the African diaspora really understood that story, I think we would, just all of the steps in understanding our history would change who we are, right?
Yeah, of course. But we're comfortable. We're comfortable. And there's something to be said to navigate this life with ease, comfort, and knowing. Right? To change that mindset. And I'm sorry, I don't know if you want to go deep this deep just yet. But to change our mindset to say, this capitalism, white supremacy lifestyle ain't for me, right? This patriotic lifestyle ain't for me. Let me give back to the ancestors and the land of the ancestors that fought for me to be able to have this comfort and ease. That's a tall order. Girl, it's hard. It's hard. Is it possible? Absolutely. I mean, it's all about the perspective you live in. And if you live in that perspective of, oh, well, I've got to make change, even if it's a small change, then yeah, this is easy. And you're probably listening to me saying, Jodine, I got this. But it's hard when you're playing in this capitalistic world and the comfort of white supremacy lifestyle. Like, it's a little difficult. But we are all out here trying to survive. No judgment on anybody and which path they choose. Like, we are all trying to figure it out and survive, and honor and leave something for the next generation.
Yeah, I mean, those are profound words, and I think we'll get a little bit more into how you are. Mm-hmm. So you're a child of immigrants, and we know that most children of immigrants have this experience that has them fully linked to their homeland in many ways, and then really trying to navigate the success, right? That fulfilling the not only American dream, but also what becomes the dream of all aspirants from their country.
Absolutely.
And so growing up in Florida, how did you find this media personality, marketing maven, all of that self?
I don't, it's so interesting because I grew up in a family of, and I'm sure all African-based people can understand this. You got to be a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse, and and that's it. Like, you could be one of those things, and then your parents are proud of you, like, right? But I grew up watching Barbara Walters. I grew up watching Donahue, may rest his soul. I grew up watching Oprah Winfrey, and I always enjoyed the role that media played in our everyday and how powerful it is. And so I got involved. In high school and playing in the media world. I went to college to become an anchor. that was my goal, was to be a news anchor. I wanted to sit at the desk and look into a camera. I wanted to interview people and things of that nature. I didn't want to spend the extra year in college, so my lazy tail was like, communications. and so be it. But I stumbled into marketing because I'm telling you, like, I was just like, no, I can't take another year. It's a 5-year program at USF. And I was like, I'm not doing that. So I left college and went into the HR space as soon as I left college, because I just didn't want to, and no shame to anyone who had to leave college and work at a retail store or work to try to make ends meet while you try to find what that profession or that career looks like for you, because that's real. And that's real, especially if you're of color in Florida, where doors aren't just easily opening for you, right? So I just knew that I wanted an office job. I wanted a desk. I wanted a pencil holder. I wanted my name on the desk. Like that was my goal. I couldn't be a news anchor at that time. So I was like, I want an office job. And I became a recruiter. And that's kind of like, from recruiting to HR to stumbling upon marketing and events marketing is how my career started, which I have no regrets about. Fantastic training.
Yeah, I would say that is very interesting because HR is so human-centered, right? So you took some key lessons from being in that space. Yeah. And one of my recent guests is an HR professional, and her business is like a bridge between marketing and HR. Mm-hmm. And so it makes perfect sense because it is a communication medium.
It is. It's a communication. It's really like affecting people's lifestyle. Like even with marketing, like marketing is so persuasive. Marketing is the reason why you think you're going right for your own self, but you're going right because of that ad that you just watched. Right. So you think, oh, I went right because that's where I wanted to go. No, actually, you went right because of that ad that was, formulated back in 1975, and it got re-engineered for 2014, and that's why 2024, and that's why you are where you are. Right. Yeah. So marketing is very influential. I got into event marketing because I love creating spaces for people. Mm. That is my thing. I think you see it on the stoop. Like, I love bringing community together. I love when people gather, when ideas are exchanged, when people are networking and co-elevating with each other. I love creating space. I love creating memories. That's me. Like, I will sit back. I don't even need to participate in it. I just want to sit back and watch everyone else have this experience. And just so happen when you pray about, like, where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And then you find something that you love. And I absolutely love what I do. I'm the VP of live events for a media company called Wait What? And we have a property that's called Masters of Scale. Never have I been interested in founders and people who are stories about people who started businesses. Never have I really just been that interested, because my background's been in arts and culture. But then when you listen to these founders and you hear their stories, they're just like creators. They're just like artists. Like, these are people who have these wild ass dreams, and they're just like, let me take a risk and let me create something, and let me put something out into the universe that's going to solve for this. And I really got sucked into the Masters of Scale world, and being able to produce events and bring communities of other people trying to solve world problems, other people that are trying to create solutions for things that ain't working right, or things that just ain't working, giving them a platform to share their story. Of course, count me in. And so there's a level of just happiness when I get to build a stage where people get to share their stories, exchange ideas, and have people leave thinking differently about a subject that they thought they were experts in.
That part.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
The fact I get to do this is it's just a blessing and favor.
Nice. So I think you may or may not have you're kind of alluding to it, but did you answer what your craft is?
Oh, so my craft is... Yes. So my craft is creating spaces.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah. So I produce live events. So I'm a live events producer. I'm a community builder. And I am a spokesperson. And I say spokesperson because I'm real loud about things I'm passionate about.
I heard that.
Yeah. But my profession is strategic, being strategic about live events and engaging audiences with brands.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, Masters of Scale, is that the one that's hosted by
Reid Hoffman?
Reid Hoffman.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a host. Our founding host is Reid Hoffman, and Reid Hoffman he's one of the co-founders of LinkedIn. He's such a powerful force. What I love about Reid Hoffman, and I've got a chance to work with him directly on several projects. What I love about Reid Hoffman is that this man is a billionaire. Like, let's call it what it is. He's a billionaire, but so in touch with everyday living people. Because there comes a point when you meet these folks, and I meet them through my work. It's like you meet these folks and they're out of touch. Like they're disconnected from, someone like me or you who lives in New York. Like the way we think about picking up prescription pills is a little bit differently. The way we have to move around the city is a little bit differently. We don't have cars we can call, right? But Reid just always seems to have his hands on the pulse for the betterment of people. And it's authentic. It's not no BS that he's trying to sell you. This man is working behind the scenes to return democracy to its stable state. And he's in front of the scenes being vocal about what he believes in. And I appreciate that. And that's why I could do this for someone like him.
Sure. Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because there are other billionaires out there that I'm like, nah, I'm good. But, he's very intentional, and I absolutely adore working for and helping him create spaces where people can exchange ideas. It's absolutely a blessing. But yeah, Masters of Scale, it's a great podcast produced by Wait What that people should take a listen to. They have Rapid Response is the sister podcast with host Bob Safian. He used to be the editor of Fast Company, and he's our editor right now. He does a lot of work behind the scenes and making sure that Wait What is on point. And, it's just such a great, when you're working with these individuals that are really working to better human beings, the lives of human beings, it's a pleasure to come to work every day. You don't feel like you're selling yourself to the devil, even though you're playing in this capitalistic world.
Yeah. So speaking of playing, so tell us why the where. You love Brooklyn. You've had a life in Miami, Atlanta. Mm-hmm. So why the where? How did you come to be living, working, and playing where you currently live?
You want the truth?
Yes.
When you have a breakup.
Yeah. Okay.
When you realize, maybe I'm not going to have the house and the picket fence and the husband with the dog. You start looking at life differently and saying, where else can I go? And that's what moved me to New York. So it was a breakup that made me say, Atlanta's great, but where can I start new? And I chose to move to New York. When I first got here, I was living in the South Bronx. Shout out to Tracy. Tracy took me in and was like, girl, get yourself together and then figure out your New York life.
Sure.
And she gave me the freedom to do that, because girl, that ain't easy. Like you're transitioning from Atlanta, you're going through darkness because of a breakup, you have family issues behind, like there's a lot happening in your life, and someone's like, come here, rest, and figure your life out. You don't take those people for granted. So yeah, so I moved to East Flatbush at first, and I fell in love with little Haiti because it reminded me of home. When you walk out the door, you don't even have to speak English. You can just go straight into Creole. It's a beautiful feeling. But then I got pulled into the Bed-Stuy vibes.
Okay.
Because of y'all. Florence.
Right.
You're part of that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Y'all pulled me here.
Yeah.
And it's been great ever since.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine. You said something interesting, because when you come to a new city at different stages in your life, it becomes a whole other operation, right? So I moved here for graduate school. I never left. And so that was a sorting of my life in itself. So it just kind of flowed. And I've lived in the same 2-block, 3-block radius for my entire New York life. And so I really get it. And I'm not necessarily jealous, but that you needed to explore and figure out like different parts of the city. Yeah. There's just something to be said for that.
Absolutely. And New York is it's so interesting because I moved to New York and I had an infrastructure already here because of the music scene, right? So I was part of the underground music scene let me not say I hate that word underground, the independent music scene. So when I came here, I had a little bit of community already, but there's something to be said about this city with a whole bunch of people that is so lonely, right? And so you figuring out the city for yourself it's so challenging while trying to live in the city. Figuring it out and living in the city at the same damn time is hard. So, shout out to people that give that. Shout out to those that can handle that, because that's why a lot of folks move from New York. It's hard. It's really hard to be here, and it's very lonely. Like if you don't have, and even when you have community, it's still lonely because it's not like you can just like get up and just drive your car and go to someone's house and stay there all day. It could be lonely. I think I've been able to, and I feel like I've been able to make this place my own, like use it as the backdrop to continue to tell my story and live my story, right? Like I feel like I've been able to do that. And a lot of that is because of my community. A lot of that is because I have amazing group of friends who are like blood to me.
Yeah. And I think that's, we talk about so when I read Sapiens, I just recalibrated the thoughts of tribe, right? Because humans evolved, there were groups of clans, et cetera, et cetera. And as we adapted this technology of production, we became a whole different being. And that's what facilitated us to have these tribes and family that wasn't of blood. And so I'm thankful for that, because the higher mobility we have, the greater, opportunity we have to be or move towards that unity, right? Because that is the ultimate goal.
Goal.
Yeah.
Even if we don't recognize it.
And then we usually don't.
And we normally don't. Like that's the way my brain was just about to go into another tangent. I had to bring her back and say, no, Jodine. The way I was about to go into another tangent. Right. Because talking to me, I usually go into tangents, but go ahead.
No, it's no problem. But you mentioned, telling a story. So let's talk about Glocal Speak. So we want to hear what you hear. So please share a word, a phrase, or a saying that is a meaningful part of your local experience and why or how you come to value it as Glocal Speak.
2 words. It's real simple. It's so funny because when you asked me that, I was like thinking about, and I was just like, well, why am I acting like I don't have my mantra in front of me like every time? And it's keep going. This world is, we're not, human beings are not perfect. This world is not perfect. And we all know that. And we come with not only our baggage, we come with our ancestors' baggage, we come with lineage, right, of issues in our humanly bodies as well as our spiritual selves. Yet we keep going. Like that to me, that when I think about like the stories of my ancestors, you can't help but keep going. Like it's almost like the baton, right? Like they're running, and then they pass you the baton and you're like, all right, I'm grabbing your stuff and all the stuff behind all the people that pass you their baton. but I've got to keep going because I've got to pass my baton too. And that is something that's so important to me. And I don't, this is coming from a woman who's childless, but someone who understands that just because I'm childless don't mean I don't have no children. Mm. You get what I'm saying? Like proud cat woman, if that's what we need to call them nowadays. But my kids need to keep going. Like, you know what I mean? Like we are here. We are spiritual beings in this world. So like, we got to keep it better or keep going for the next generation to come. Yeah. And that's so important to me. And it's not only for my day to day, but it's for my legacy. I got to keep going. Like that's so important to me. So that's a phrase that I use with my friends, like when they're celebrating, when they're going through their depression, when they're, like you got to keep going. Yeah. Like take it in, feel your emotions, do what you need to do, but keep going. And that's so important to me. And I think that's what is so triggering with my passion with people who contemplate suicide. Because it's like, that ain't the answer either. We're spiritual beings. Suicide ain't gonna help. Like, you think it is, but it's not. We're just in a physical space, right? It's not the solution. We're just in this physical space.
Okay, that's another tip. My mind just
you see what I'm saying? Girl. But you got to keep going. Yeah. You can't give up. Even when I was going through, I don't even have to sit here and go through all my woes. Like, we all have woes. Mm-hmm. We all have woes. We all had to go through something. We all had to overcome something. And we kept going. And sometimes it feels like you just can't take it anymore, but you've got to keep going. And that's so important to me. And so that's something that that's two words and an exclamation point, because you got to do it with the exclamation point. You can't just say keep going. You got to do the exclamation point with it. Yeah, so important.
I love that expression because it's, I'm a runner. And so particularly when I'm running in, I have to tell myself that often, but particularly when I'm running in Ghana, that's, people see me and they're like, keep going, keep going. And recently I was running in Colorado and some construction workers are like, keep going, keep going. So it encapsulates a lot. Yeah.
It involves everything. And it's like waking up in the morning and you just have to say it sometimes to yourself, keep going. Because sometimes you don't want to. And
tell you,
if you don't want to, stay in bed. You know what I'm saying?
That
Put
too.
the comforter back over you. Say, try this shit tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry for cursing.
But that's a really valid point.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, one day, like another great quote that I read one day that I fell in love with was like, one day you're going to move mountains and other days you can barely get out of bed. You keep going. Mm-hmm. Keep going. Lay in that bed and then keep going.
Yeah. That is good words to talk about. So let's talk about how you have created, because you work for a firm, but you have been an entrepreneur.
Oh my gosh.
And so
still.
Right, exactly. So let's talk about the business. How do you think about sourcing business, working with clients, like the economics of being the storyteller and putting these events together? And because I know there's a lot of sponsorship involved, just a lot of moving parts. Yeah. So what's that like?
I will say, coming from a space of, I have a full-time job. So let me say that. Mm-hmm. So there's a privilege of getting a check every 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. There's a privilege there. And I don't take that for granted and respect all of us who are full-time workers. But then you have the entrepreneurship person, mm-hmm. right? And that at one point was me as well. Like mm-hmm. I've been an entrepreneur full-time. I've been a full-time employee. Right now I do both. Yeah. Right? I do my own as well as I have the luxury because of being able to do what I love full time for someone else. Mm-hmm. I have the luxury of being selective of who I give my energy to. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not everybody has that. So, I respect those. And I remember, and I was in Atlanta and it was a cigarette company that wanted to underwrite a show I was working on. And I'll never forget, at first when it was presented to me, and I think I think at that time I wasn't working full time. And when it was presented to me, I thought, oh, this will help me out financially 100%. Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is going to be, like, look at this cash. Like, we're talking about 6 figures for a concert for a venue with only 100 people. Hell yeah. Right. Like, I'm like, hell yeah. Cause that's low. That's a low cost. That's a high markup, low cost.
Right.
I can make this work. And then I had to like think about it for a minute and be like, but wait, it's a cigarette company?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I cannot.
Yeah.
And yes, it would allow me to write checks to my friends to perform on stage. Look, I get it. Yes. But everything about that was like, I can't dance with the devil. I don't want to dance with the devil. I'm good. Like, I don't want to dance with the devil. And I don't believe in cigarette smoking. And so that's something I had to decline. And so if it's not aligned with my lifestyle, I don't want to create a space for it. It's just that simple. And then my job is to be a space maker. And if I'm a space maker, I got to make space for things that are going to elevate our minds, balance our body, and feed our souls. And if it's not falling into those pillars, I can't really do anything with it. But again, understanding that I have the luxury to say that, understanding that not that many people do. But it's a tough decision. It's a tough decision when you got mouths to feed, when you have to take on a company whose values, there's a particular gas station to this day I won't go to because of their entanglement in my country in Haiti. You know what I mean? But that's my silent protest. Like, I won't ever use their gas. I'm on E. Okay, let me walk down this highway and go past that gas station to go find another gas station, right?
That's called activism.
Right.
Yeah. No, we have to own it. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And that's just how I live. So, but I acknowledge that, some people don't have that luxury, but I've been blessed to be able to pick and choose organizations and causes and brands that are really doing things to elevate the human life and not take us down.
So how have you honed your craft? So over time, you've definitely evolved as a professional and, added new tricks and toolbox things. So how have you deliberately and sometimes inadvertently been able to very much hone your craft?
I would say a lot of it is staying curious. That's it. Like it's real. We're growing. And if you're kinetic energy and you're constantly growing, there's no way, shape, or form that you could be an absolute in your thinking. Right? So you got to stay curious. And I was at the DNC the other day and saw an activation and was just like, how'd they do that? So now I'm like trying to figure out what technology they use to create something in this space to elevate their audience. Like, I love that. And I geek out about it. It's so interesting to me to like kind of learn new tools and learn new resources. But it's staying curious and having a community around you, because there's also other professionals I can go to that helps me hone my skills. And there's classes that I've taken hosting classes, because not only do I work as a live events producer, but sometimes I host live events. And since I've been in New York, I think I've taken like 3 workshops and 3 classes around hosting just to see how I can do things differently. But that's just because it goes back to being curious.
Right. And I think also knowing that you're passionate about it and wanting to be the best.
You want to excel in whatever you do. I hope you would want to excel in whatever you do. Like that's the goal. That's the hope. And you just don't, I don't know, like you just don't know it all. Even if you're in your profession, you're at the top of your game. Like Oprah would be quick to tell you she don't know it all. But to me, she's someone who's on top of the game, but she's still learning. So of course, yeah.
Curiosity and a little humility.
Yeah. Sprinkle that humility on a girl.
Exactly.
Sprinkle that humility on it. Yeah.
Indeed.
Sure.
So you mentioned the DNC.
Yes.
Very fresh in mind.
Yes. The Democratic National Convention, for those who are wondering, what the hell is a DNC?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right. Because there's other.
Yeah. Let me be real clear where I just came from. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I have this series of the future of work. And so I've done aging and agriculture, and an upcoming one is going to be about governance. So the future of work and governance. And that is observing that globally there have been hundreds of presidential elections, and we're changing the dynamic of the globe. And so in your time going there, and, this is a really unprecedented political season.
Tell me about it.
In the context of you being an event producer and a brand engagement professional storyteller, what were your impressions, and where do you see that future of work with governance?
So my impression was, and I forget his name. I just read the article about the executive producer of the DNC. So the guy who's like behind the scenes. Okay. Hopefully his name will come to me. But, shout out to him, because that was a huge undertaking. Having the United Center with those thousands and thousands of people there, multiple brands activating, signage everywhere, security nonstop. Like, when you think about all the different elements it took for that DNC to be successful as an event producer, you're looking at that and you're just like in awe. Because it's a lot. It's a lot of moving parts. And at the end of the day, there's one person who has to report to that one person who's responsible for it all. And shout out to that person, right? It's so interesting about, you say, the future of work and governance. And I think it was Reid Hoffman who said that work is not going to look the same in about 20 years. And I was just like flabbergasted. But when you think about not even governance, right? I'm thinking about the technology of it all, right? And the lack of governance, their lack of understanding of technology.
The institutions as they are.
As it is, right? The way there's a disconnection there and a deregulation there that is going to make it so difficult for the future of work is alarming. And I think the alarms are going off now. I'm very curious on the next administration and how they approach this, how they deal with this, because it is going to affect everyday people. I'm optimistic about it, right? Like, I'm optimistic, and I've got to believe that we are thinking about the future of work, and we are thinking about how people are going to like continue to work in their senior state, in their young state. I'm thinking about that all, but I'm also thinking about how technology is just like taking over work.
Right. Right. Exactly. So the idea of an occupation is a whole.
The way we look at, like the way you think of I'll use a nurse, like, right? Because, me growing up, I had to be a nurse. So the way I'm looking at a nurse now to how I'm going to look at a nurse in 20, 30 years is going to be completely different. It's going to be completely different. The way we are looking at teachers and educators now to the way we look at how they're going to be teaching and educating in 20, 30 years, completely different. And we are moving so fast. Technology is moving so fast, but yet our government institutions and stuff are moving so slow.
It's power. Power is a really strange beast, because
really,
yeah. No time has it been so easy for people to circumvent that power structure.
Oh boy!
And so I'm with you on, it's going to look totally different, and the idea of democracy has to look.
It has to. It has to. It has to. And, DNC is a big pep rally. DNC is it's going to leave you inspired. You're going to come back home and you're just going to be like fired up and ready to go. And LFG, like, let's make it happen. But then reality kicks in and you're just like, woof, how are we going to deal with? And work is one of them. How we going to deal with this economy? How we going to deal with the future of work? How we going to deal with the speed of technology? Right. How, like, these things are affecting our everyday lives. Every day. And it's not from just a national level, but from a local level too. Like,
It's all at the local level.
Girl, say a word. Say a word. I'm gonna let you speak on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we have forgotten, because the media has drawn us into these bigger pictures and really let the local players kind of flail to some extent, because the capital's not coming to local players, and they're the grassroots that are responsible to the people more so. And so that's where, we'll see. But his name is Ricky Kirshner.
Yes.
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 Executive producer of the DNC.
Yes.
Shout out to him.
Yes. So he'll be in the show notes. And I think where you're leading this is about mindset. Yes. And so let's talk about your mindset hack. So what is your favorite or an innovative mindset hack? This is one that you practice, one that you can imagine, or just one that you know of?
You know, my mindset hack is So I have these conversations. I know this is going to sound weird, but what's funny is it's going to sound weird. But then when I heard someone else mention that they do something similar, I was just like, hot damn. So the mindset, you know, me having a real belief in the power of the mind, right? And the life that we live is really through your mindset. Like how you perceive your life to be is how it is, period, right? And even though life can be hard and sucker punch you, if you believe that you are going to get through it, you are going to get through it. Said and done. I truly believe that. Mindset hack, though, for me is I have to look for the silver lining. Like I have to see the silver lining and challenges and areas of difficulty. But one of the things I do to look for these silver linings is really like sitting there having like conversations with my, you know, imaginary conversations with my ancestors. Like it's just something that I do. And it's one of those in the closet things that I just kind of do. It's just kind of like, I'll get a challenge or something of that sort and just be like, all right, Ma, like, and I really like to go back home. I love to like think about it in the space of being in the home that I grew up in on 50th Street and talking to that little girl, Jodine. It's like, all right, girl, like, what are we doing? Or, you know, all right, Mom, like, what's, you know, like, how do I overcome this? And, you know, it's not like I hear them back and it's nothing like, you know, out of this world.
Yeah.
Right. It's no juju stuff. It's just really just having a conversation and taking your place back, taking up space back in your mind and taking that conversation with you so that you know how to run through or feel or be channeled to run through some challenges that you're dealing with. But the reason why I said it was kind of funny, because there's a CEO called, her name is Kat Cole, and she's president, I think she's president and CEO of AG1. And she talked about, of course, because, you know, listening to Masters of Scale all the time, she talked about this hotshot theory. And she shared that she kind of does the same thing, but she'll like talk to like one of her mentors and her imaginary self. Like she'll talk to someone else. And I was listening to this episode and I was just like, so I'm not the only one that's sitting over here talking about, okay, I know my mom's not alive, but let me see. Ma, what do you know? or Daddy, if you were me, how would you deal with this? You know, like, and think about it from their point of view. And so listening to her talk about this, I think she calls it like the hot shot theory or something like that. I busted out laughing because I was like, oh my gosh, that is my little hack. How did she know that I kind of do this too? But in a different, you know, like I only tap into those who are no longer with me. I think she does this for people who are with her or no longer with her. But yeah, it's something that I do. It's a hack that I do to kind of get my mind right.
Yeah.
On situations that I'm dealing with.
And that's what a mindset hack is.
Yeah. Got to. But yeah, have me talking to that little girl, Jodine, and or talking to my aunts or uncles who are no longer with me. That's how I kind of get through.
I would say that it's two things I'm observing. It feels like it's harnessing the power of now to some extent because while you're time traveling to a time or a place of kind of imagining yourself as something different, you're also really bringing those legacy figures into the present. And my feeling is that no spirit is ever gone. So even you think these conversations are falling on deaf ears, so to speak, but everything that comes to you from that, and that's why you do it, is now. Yeah. Okay.
Something I love to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you have this great gig. You have your private projects. What's next for Jodine? What's
That is what should I lay on this couch right now? And do you charge $150 an hour? Because that is what I'm trying.
You get the good buddy discount.
Right. Because, girl, that's what I'm over here trying to figure out right now. It's so funny because we get into a space and we're like, okay, so what's next? And as much as I want to think about that, I also have to think about right now.
Yeah.
And right now, I never thought in my wildest dreams, there is an 8-year-old Jodine Dorcé right now who is on 50th Street in Miami, Florida, sitting on a green station wagon, looking at some clouds and wondering who I'll be when I'm 48 years old, right? She's over here imagining. She's like, who is this woman? And never in my wildest dreams would I be the one that's responsible for the spaces that I'm creating, for doing something that I love and getting paid for it. You know what I mean? Like, because when you grow up watching your aunts and uncles do what they love but hate what they do, and they cleaning up after white people, and because that's what you do in Miami as an immigrant, and you're like, that's not what I want to do, but you don't have to. Like,
yeah,
I don't have to do that. And I am living the dream of my mom and my aunt who had to do that for a living, that I get to go to work and be happy and love what I do, even though it's difficult and it's hard. I still smile because I know I'm creating greatness. And although I think about what's next, I also I'm trying to learn to sit still in the now so I could really, really enjoy where life is taking me, where life has taken me, and where life is taking me. Yeah, so I don't know what's next.
Okay.
But I'm loving it right here, right now.
Yes. So aside from work, who is Jodine when she's not working? Are you a reader? Are you a watcher? Are you a listener? And what are some of your favorite reads, watches, or listens? Or whatever else you do in your leisure time?
I'm a listener. I feel like I'm a listener. I listen to a lot of music. That's my background. Music productions, not music production, music as it relates to event production, not making beats. I wish, because in my dreams I make beats, but that's a whole nother conversation. But when I'm not working, which is funny because I'm always working.
Maybe you're always being productive.
When I say I'm always working, because I'm always looking at ways to create space and ways to, I'm always looking at ways that I could gather community or be part of a community or be part of exchanging ideas. That's important to me. And so I listen a lot. I listen to music a lot, and I try to be a reader, but I fail at it so hard. I read now. I'm gonna go through a magazine. I'm gonna read a magazine. I'm gonna read some articles online because friends are forwarding me things that I need to learn about. But taking a book and reading it, ooh, that's hard. I do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's challenging. But definitely a listener, definitely a community gatherer. Like, I love being in community. I love serving my community. That's very important to me. So when I'm not working, I'm sitting on a stoop and allowing people to gather.
Right. I'm part of that cohort. So when you mention music, I'm just thinking about the Apollo.
Yes.
And so just what are some of the new artists or new music that you've come across in that role?
Oh man. So let me stand corrected. I no longer host that's another thing I need to fix on that bio. I'm no longer the host at Apollo Music Cafe, but with Apollo Music Cafe and with Capital Jazz and all the different extensions that I get to work on that focuses on music allows me to like be introduced to a lot of these emerging artists. Or, like right now, there's an artist by the name of Stout. This sister right here, her vocal range is sick. Her energy is sickening. Like you're like, who are you? And why? I need more people to know who she is. So like Stout is an artist that I've been introduced to that I just absolutely adore and love. I met Stout through Keon Harold, who is a trumpeter, who is just an amazing artist. He was just on NPR's Tiny Desk, and it was so good to see him because we need to get excited about musicians. I mean, musicians these are creators that are like creating this sound that's serving as a soundtrack for our lives. That part, right? Like, and so it's so exciting to watch these artists and these musicians get on platforms and just continue to evolve and grow and create. And why are they creating? To elevate the human experience.
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes I imagine being in a place where you just have all these little stalls of live music and so artists will just come and set up and you just sit and listen and then go to the next one and go to the next one. And it's really just community based. That's been I'm like, oh, that would be beautiful. And there's a kind of a semblance of it on this Vanderbilt street. So there's bands that play, but I see something bigger and more just, I don't say grassroots, but maybe someday. When you said that, I immediately went to Funk Jazz Cafe. It was an institution in Atlanta. It was groundbreaking. It's something that's never been done before and never been duplicated successfully. Jason Orr out of Atlanta used to executive produce Funk Jazz Cafe. And you literally would go into different rooms and just different experiences in each room. Like the main stage is where you have your artists. And then you go to different rooms and it's just like spoken word, jazz, hip hop. It was, doggone it, we need to bring that back. Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Well,
I just went in. Now my brain went to another tangent.
Right.
Like, Jason, bring it back.
Yeah.
But it was, immediately I thought about that. And that's it. Like, that's what I love to listen to. That's what feeds my soul. Mm-hmm.
Jodine, this has been so lovely. We could talk forever, but we got this beautiful Brooklyn afternoon, evening to get out and get our minds right. So before we close for today, are there any last thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Last thoughts. I have so many thoughts, but here's what I'll end with: community. And I think I'm just in this community space right now. I'm just really grateful for the community that surrounds me. Really grateful for the experiences I get to experience because of my community, right? And so I just want to just emphasize, as a global citizen, to get yourself a community. Get yourself, because you've got to have that community that's going to continue to elevate your mind, balance your body, and feed your soul. If they're not doing those things, dump them and get those that can.
Yeah. I love it. Those are great last thoughts. I really appreciate it. Yes. Yay. All right, Glocal citizens, this has been another episode of the podcast. You can catch us Tuesdays with new episodes at glocalcitizenspod.com or wherever you get your podcast. Please like, share, leave us a review. You can leave up to a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Just let us know you're out there. We like to hear from you. So as always, our show notes are very rich. So make sure you check out the show notes and you can find out all things Jodine. And until next time, bye for now.